Welcome to Dump Truck Toolbox. I'm Alan, and today we're starting a new series on what does it take to be successful at starting your own hauling business. And today we're going to get personal because we're going to talk about your personality. So I'm a bit of an odd duck. Before I started driving a dump truck, I was an organizational psychologist and a professor of business. And one of my areas of interest was personality, and another was entrepreneurs or people who start businesses. So I thought I'd bring some of that insight to my YouTube channel for those of you who are thinking of starting a hauling business, or for those of you who are already in your own hauling business, and it'll give you some more insight into yourself and maybe what you're really good at and what you struggle with. And so personality, um, the two personality characteristics I want to talk about are, first of all, conscientiousness, and secondly, need to achieve. Conscientiousness as a personality trait is a commitment to following through on things. Um, it's tied up with, I promise you something, so I'm going to make it happen. I'm gonna follow through. I said I'd do this thing. I said I'd be on the job site at 7 a.m. with a quad with a steel bed, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. I'm not going to sort of sneak away from things that need to be done. I'm going to follow through. For all of the personality variables and all of the different employment type situations you could find yourself in, entrepreneur, driver, project manager, HR person, it doesn't matter. Conscientiousness is almost always the strongest personality variable that predicts success. That commitment to following through, to making things happen. For an entrepreneur, it's especially important, I think, because the personality trait of conscientiousness in many job situations, you can sort of, I hate to say it, but rely on other people to hold you accountable. You got a boss, and your boss is going to speak to you if you don't show up on time, and may impose some type of penalty. If you just don't show up for work one day, you're going to have a difficult conversation with most bosses the next time you're at work. But as an entrepreneur, you're your own boss, and there's no external person who is a substitute for this trait of conscientiousness. There's no one holding you accountable. If you don't do the marketing that you need to do, it shows up in your bank account, but there's no one who's going to text you and say, "Hey, Alan, why haven't you called on the three materials yards and tried to drum up some business?" Or, have you followed through with that broker yet and found whether that's a good way for you to get more jobs? But if you want to start a hauling business, you need to ask yourself some serious, deep questions about: how conscientious am I? Do I follow through? Do I stay up late to complete tasks? Do I get up early to get things done? Do I make the 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 do list and then check everything off of it and feel good about it? When you're an entrepreneur, when you're a small business owner, when you start up a hauling business, you have got to be diligent. You've got to be conscientious, because no one else is going to hold you to it. The second trait I want to talk about is need to achieve. And I did a lot of research on need to achieve, or achievement motivation, some people call it. And it predicts a whole lot of things, including uh, willingness to become an entrepreneur. And notice I said willingness, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But achievement motivation, someone who's high in achievement motivation, they want to do things that let them test themselves, that give them the opportunity to achieve. The low end of the achievement motivation personality trait is what many psychologists call a high fear of failure. And so, one of the questions I would ask my coaching clients who say, "I want to start my own business," is I would say, who would you rather play one-on-one basketball with? Game on one-on-one with your 8-year-old nephew, LeBron James, or someone who is about your age and your physical fitness and your basketball skill? Who would you rather play of those three choices? And interestingly, people with a high fear of failure, a high test anxiety, would tend to choose their 8-year-old nephew or LeBron James. Why is that? Well, if you win or lose against your 8-year-old nephew, it doesn't say much about your drive. It doesn't say much about your skill. It doesn't say much about your physical fitness. Your 8-year-old nephew, I'm assuming, you could probably take pretty easily if you have any basketball skill or physical fitness. And you might even just choose to let them win, because the score of that game doesn't say anything about you as a person or a basketball player. Other than, I guess, if you beat your 8-year-old nephew 21-0, that might say something about your ability to maintain close family relationships. But uh, why LeBron James? Why would a person high in test anxiety or fear of failure choose LeBron James? Well, unless unless you're a you know a, a max contract player in the NBA, you're going to go one-on-one with LeBron James. He's gonna probably uh, beat me 21-0, and he probably beat almost anyone else I could think of 21-0. Okay. Once again, there's no information in the score of my contest with LeBron James about me, really. At 21-0, I mean, of course, it's LeBron James. I'm going to get him to sign my LBJ jersey, but 21-0, great story. It was a great time. I hope I got a video. I'd put it on my YouTube channel, but it doesn't say anything about my drive, my basketball skill, my physical fitness to lose to LeBron James. Now, if I play someone who's about my age, about my fitness level, about my basketball ability, and I'd probably throw in there about my height, well, that's about a 50-50 proposition, except for the fact that I am going to try harder and be smarter and do everything I can to win. And if the score of that game is 21-19 in my favor, that says something about me. It says, yeah, I've got the skill, I got the physical fitness, I've got the height to beat this person, but also I had the effort. I put in the energy and was able to win that game. What has this got to do with entrepreneurship? What has this got to do with starting a hauling business? Okay, so here's the dirty secret of entrepreneurship. Most new businesses fail. The only way you would put yourself in that type of situation where you've got this endeavor that, yes, you could achieve, you could win, or you could lose, is if you have a drive to achieve that is stronger than your fear of failure. Um, People high in fear of failure or test anxiety, they don't like to take tests. And starting a hauling business is nothing more than a very long open book test where you've got to get most of the questions right most of the time, or that business is going to fail. You can't win at starting a hauling business unless you are good at the driving side, you're good enough at the financial side, you're good enough at the marketing and sales side, um, you're good at all the paperwork, you're good at building relationships with customers, with potential drivers to work for you, with the mechanics, with the tire people. Uh, you got to be good at all that, or good enough. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be LeBron James level, but you got to be good enough at all those things. And the fear of failure is going to cause many people to say, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do something safer. I'm going to cash my paycheck from some employer who's going to take care of most of the things. And and I don't want to have this long, open-ended test of my ability to run a business. Now, conscientiousness, absolutely key. No way to get around it. If you're not conscientious, you're going to struggle if you start your own business. Um, Need to achieve. There are other things that can substitute for need for achievement. And we'll talk about that more in my next video in this series. Need for achievement, you need to ask yourself, do I like challenges? Do I like having my performance up on the scoreboard, evaluated for potentially a lot of people to see? Because if I have this big fanfare and I start my hauling business and 6 months later I shut it down and I sell the truck and I'm in debt, for tens of thousands of dollars, oh, the people around me are going to know that. Friends, family, people I was working with in the hauling industry. If I don't have that strong um, drive to achieve, to overcome my fear of failure, my fear of tests, um, I'm going to struggle. Now, once again, I can substitute for that, but uh, before you start a hauling business, say, is my personality aligned with the challenges I'm taking on? Am I conscientious? And do I really like to test myself? Do I like to achieve? And so we're going to continue on with this series. It's not going to be every video. It'll pop up, I don't know, every month or so. But stay tuned. We're going to talk about more factors that can either propel your performance in starting a new hauling business, or uh, be a drag on your performance. And so if you found today's video useful or interesting, please click the like button. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. As always, I encourage you, be safe out there. Whether you're driving a dump truck, or just hanging out in the yard, safety always ought to be your top priority. And so I hope to see you again soon on the Dump Truck Toolbox.